Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Cruz and welcome back to another video. In this one, we're going to discuss the 4 things that you need to get started in your home studio. Let's get it. Guys, you know the deal. Please do all of the things that help this channel grow. Like this video, comment, and subscribe below. Be sure to hit the bell icon so you get an alert every single time I upload a video. There are tons of affiliate links in the description box below that help this channel out, including a direct link where you can actually donate to my channel. It's very much appreciated, even just as low as a cup of coffee. That'll really take this channel a long way. So thank you so much for the support, and without further ado, let's get started. So a real quick backstory. This whole video, this whole topic was inspired by a video that I get comments on a lot actually, and I'll link the video right up here. It's a video on this particular product. I think the name is pronounced Fifine. And they created this little N5 mixer, mini mixer. There are lots of others like it on the market, and I showcase how I basically used it, or how I used to use this thing to incorporate pads into my guitar playing. So what I would do is like have an iPad playing MP3s, and I put it into one channel, and then I would put my guitar signal in through another channel, and then I'd feed that one signal through this mixer into to the soundboard out in the front of house, and then I would mix the 2 signals in so I could have control of pads and my guitar sound all at the same time. Kind of a little nifty trick if you ask me, in a unique way of using this thing, but I've discovered, you know, in my opinion, better ways to accomplish that. As a lot of you know, I eventually ended up purchasing the Jamman Digitech Solo XT, which gave me an MP3 player and a pedal, and that worked out so much better for me versus me actually mixing my guitar signal through, you know, a relatively inexpensive mixer like this one. But with all of that said, the actual reason that I'm making this video is because everyone keeps asking me in the comment section, can they use this to plug their guitar or their pedal board into their computer? And though I don't quite understand the question, I am gonna assume that they are referring to, can this substitute an interface? And I guess the quick answer to that is no. It's definitely not an interface. This is just kind of like, I would compare it to a patch bay with actual knobs, like volume knobs. Very, very passive mixer. Has nothing to do with, you know, being able to transfer audio or to properly distribute audio to your computer and ultimately to your DAW. So it got me to thinking, there may be some people out there who don't quite know how to get started in their home studio, how to actually be able to record their own music, and maybe even furthermore, in the time that we live in where there are so many digital products out there like the Line 6 HX Stomp, the Kemper, sometimes you actually are not prepared for the back end of purchasing this product, right? When you purchase pedals, you know that you pretty much need an amp, and everyone is prepared to do that. But when you buy an HX Stomp, where it's supposed to be this all-in-one, well, how do you listen to that? Yeah, you can plug headphones into the HX Stomp, but they have to be a certain grade of headphones, or else it'll actually be very aggressive in your headphones, and you won't hear the product in the way it was meant to be heard. So it's kind of like you're supposed to be set up with a recording system already, which I've talked about in the past. That's the part that no one ever tells us when we are purchasing these products, that you have to have a recording system of some sort to be able to listen to these products properly. Anyway, I'll talk about that in another video. But in this one, we're going to talk about some of the things that you need to get started, to create a home studio in your very own home, and ultimately start laying your ideas down, because that's what it's all about. The first thing you are going to need if you want to get into recording is a DAW, a digital audio workstation. Now, the cool thing about DAWs nowadays is that there are plenty of out there. Back in the day, it just felt like you were limited to a specific kind of DAW, especially if you wanted to be known as a professional in the industry. But now DAWs are getting so good, they're all highly respected. In fact, I've heard amazing music be made on relatively inexpensive to free DAWs that are out there, DAWs like even GarageBand that's available on Macs when you buy them. It's an amazing tool. In fact, my DAW of choice right now is Studio One with PreSonus. And the cool thing about Studio One is they have different tiers, and you can eventually upgrade if you want to have a more kind of broad range of DAW. But even the free beginner stage is actually really, really good. Most of my DAW experience was through Pro Tools, and so when I decided to start creating a home studio and I was really on a tight budget, I was nervous that I wouldn't be able to find a DAW that would suit my needs. But as soon as I downloaded Studio One, it felt like I was working in a very familiar workspace, and that's what I find with a lot of DAWs that are out there. And the cool thing is that they're becoming so versatile in multiple areas. Even people who have gravitated towards DAWs like Ableton, who initially were, a lot of us were only using Ableton for live style performances with backing tracks, but now I know producers who use Ableton exclusively. So there's no DAW that is necessarily exclusive to sounding the best per se. I think it depends on your workflow and what you want to accomplish and the kind of music that you're working on. If you need access to a multitude of different plugins, which are things that you can get into down the road, but you may want to consider using various DAWs to accommodate those plugins. But I think for now, finding a DAW that works for you will be the best place to start. And if you're on a budget, there's nothing wrong with using some of the more available DAWs that are out there that are affordable and free. In fact, that leads me to the second thing that you'll be needing, and that is an interface. Why does the DAW lead me to the interface? Because programs like Studio One actually come available with interfaces that PreSonus sells, like the very one that I'm using in my personal studio right now, the PreSonus AudioBox i2. Initially, I bought this thing thinking that it would just be a very quick sort of like, I'm going to use it for a little while and eventually upgrade. I'm going to get the ones that I really want. The Apollo stuff started coming out, from Universal Audio, so I'm thinking I'm going to eventually, graduate to that stuff. But I don't know. I bought this and it suited all of my needs. I only ended up needing two channels because I wasn't recording drums in here. I'm recording guitars, sometimes recording guitars and doing voiceovers at the same time, maybe doing guitars in a stereo signal. So again, only two inputs is all I need. And the fact that this interface was literally created with Studio One in mind, the DAW, it works very seamlessly together, and I've been having a great experience with it. So I haven't upgraded at all, and to be honest with you, I don't know if I really feel like I need to upgrade at this point in my career. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I recorded a lot of music on this thing. I released a lot of my personal music using this exact setup, and I've sent music off. I've recorded plenty of guitar parts in this very studio and sent them to producers that have ended up on pretty decent sounding records and big time records, and I'm proud of that this little setup housed big sounds for me. And I get compliments here on YouTube all the time. What you're literally hearing is just my guitar into this particular setup, and I'm really, really proud of that. So long story short, you're gonna need an interface to properly communicate to the computer that ultimately will communicate to your DAW, your digital audio workstation, to allow you to actually start recording stuff and to start basically transferring your thoughts from the instrument to a computer. Which leads me to number 3, a computer. Now, I named some already affordable pieces of gear like Studio One, which is actually a free download. PreSonus interfaces, they go for as little as $100, and it comes with Studio One again. So all of those things are somewhat affordable, but a computer could definitely run you a little bit depending on what you're doing. However, a lot of people assume that recording music, especially at the beginning stages, you need a really great computer, and the truth is that you don't. Actually, a lot of computers that you probably even have access to can handle a very basic sort of setup, especially if you're not using a ton of outboard gear or like plugins, or I would say in the box gear, like a lot of downloads and a lot of external plugins and stuff and things of that nature. So if you're not using a ton of memory and RAM, then it doesn't require that much. Buying an interface actually should be dependent on the computer that you have, so maybe I should swap those two numbers. You need to know that your computer can handle the interface's needs. If you look up the interface that you're interested in, typically in the description or even on the box itself, it'll give you the minimum requirements that your computer needs to meet in order for this interface to work somewhat seamlessly with your computer. It'll tell you the minimum memory, RAM, all that good stuff that most computers already have. And you wouldn't believe how little the interface actually requires. Now, don't get me wrong, the better the computer, the better the interface, the better the overall experience. But what I'm trying to tell you is don't allow the limitations to a ton of like massively expensive gear. Don't allow those limitations to stop you from actually getting started. You can use a computer that's literally sitting in your house right now. In fact, I did. As a lot of you know, and I'll put the video up here, I didn't upgrade my computer until just earlier this year. So I went almost a full, I think it was like 7+ years using my basic home PC, and I recorded a ton of music on that thing. So I'm super proud of how I was able to use a very simplistic PC that was outdated and put a very simplistic, interface there, use a somewhat simplistic DAW system to be able to put together music that I thought was not so simplistic, that I think was actually kind of good. So don't let the gear stop you from getting started. Yes, you could have a great computer, and you should have a great computer, but maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you want to get started with the computer that you have. That's fine. I would say figure out what interface you're interested in, and then see if your computer can actually handle what the interface is requiring. And last but not least, coming in at number 4, some sort of monitoring. Now, the reason that I say some form of monitoring is because you have options now, right? You don't have to necessarily have studio monitors to get pro sounds. You can use studio headphones. And in fact, headphones that are not terribly expensive. I'll link the video right up here where I actually talk about how my first pair of like studio headphones were relatively inexpensive. They are the AKG K52s. I think they are about $50. Though it's not cheap, it's also nowhere near as expensive as some of the other headphones that are on the market. In fact, one or two that I have here in my studio right now. And they're definitely a lot cheaper than investing into studio monitors like the Yamaha HS5s that I currently have in my studio. How you decide to hear your music is kind of up to you. You can go very basic or you can go really expensive, but either way, you're gonna need to hear it on something that is gonna give you somewhat of a true interpretation of what you're actually putting into your computer. Believe it or not, though, I prefer studio monitors to sit on a desk and actually hear back my music. It's actually not what I recommend to beginners because they don't necessarily have access or the ability to set those monitors up properly to be able to hear the music back in the way that it should be heard. What I mean by that is that with studio monitors, is so dependent on how you position the monitors, even to the room that you have it in, how it's treated, the bass traps that are in the room. And you can learn all that, by the way. I'm a huge believer that you can learn the room, but if the room is constantly changing, then it's a true uphill battle. Like, it's really difficult to understand how you're going to get the best possible mix if your room is constantly changing and being different. So a pair of AKG K52s will go a long way for you, and to be honest, I still have them and use them all the time, so it won't be money wasted. So that's pretty much it. Those are the 4 things that I think everyone needs to get started in a home studio. Everything else, I'm assuming you kind of already have. There are some honorable mentions, of course, that you should consider when you're trying to create a home studio space. Obviously, you're going to need cables. You're going to need ways to connect all of this stuff together. You're going to need 1/4-inch cables. If you're using monitor speaker cables, you might want to consider eventually investing into some sort of power conditioning so you can make sure your equipment is protected. And then obviously creating a space for yourself that it's dependable, that won't change all the time, that'll give you proper frequencies. But with all of that said, the one thing that I want you to know today is that not having those things should not stop you from creating. Because the one thing that no one else could provide is you, your talent, your music, and your creativity. So maybe this video isn't about necessarily what you need, but maybe it should be more about what you already have. You already have the ability to write songs and to create music and to create whatever. Maybe it's not just music, maybe it's other things, maybe it's even making videos like this. Use what you have access to, and I guarantee you all of the rest of the stuff will fall into place. Things will come. You'll figure out what you need, and little by little you'll invest. These things that you see around a lot of YouTubers and musicians as a whole, we didn't get this stuff overnight. This was years and years. You will eventually have those things, but most of all, you will eventually develop the skill to earn those things, to obtain the skill to know how to use those things. Well, guys, that's pretty much it. That wraps up this video. I think I got everything. I think I covered the basics, but maybe you thought of something that I forgot. Be sure to leave it in the comment section below, not just for me to answer and to read, but actually to help others. I think the comment section should also generate help for people. Maybe I didn't say something that's absolutely necessary that you think is a must-have to truly have a successful home studio. It all matters, and most of all, your opinion matters. So let me know in the comment section if I missed something or if there's something you think I should add. Don't forget to do all of the things that help this channel grow. Like this video, comment and subscribe below. Also hit the bell notification so you get an alert every single time I upload a video. Check out some of the affiliate links in the description box below as well. There's also a link where you can donate directly to this channel. Anything is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.